Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria. We're a leading Nigeria institution in cybersecurity. And part of our functionality actually is to identify, train, and as well as engage Nigerians across all career levels in the area of information security, cybersecurity, skill development, and general awareness to trending cybersecurity crime, cybercrime, and threat intelligence. Topic for today, which is DNS poisoning. We've come to give you a heads up on what this is. And further to that, we'll be inviting our host in the person of our co-host, rather, in the person of Fortune Andrew. I myself, the host, I go with the name Precious Olives. So I don't know if my co-host is available. Mr. Fortune Andrew, you can indicate. You can share your screen right now.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this section. I'm Fortune by name, and I'm so happy and so glad for this opportunity to stay and actually talk to us. So, before we continue, a little bit about me. I'm just Fortune by name and a friendly hacker, a learner, a trainer, a gamer, also a sports fan, and then I'm also a community lead for Waka and then a researcher. So, pray that the eyes of your understanding be enlightened.
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry for barging in. We would like you to project so that we can hear you much better, sir.
Okay, like project, like you can hear me well.
Absolutely well. Thank you, sir.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes, sir, it's way better. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So as I was saying, so this is just a little bit of who I am. I'm just a normal friendly hacker. Also, I play systems, and I'm a learner, a trainer, a gamer, and also a sports fan. Then day to day, just a random security engineer, and then a researcher. So as we go on, pray the eyes of our understanding be enlightened to understand what to be taught here today. So this is just a few content on what I'll be discussing today. Sure, we'll be talking about the poisoning and we'll be doing practical sections on the poisoning attack on the DNS cache. But then we need to understand, we need to know what DNS is all about so that we don't just start the poisoning without knowing what DNS does or the impact or the power of DNS in resolving domain names to IP addresses. So now, yeah. So now, DNS. Hope everyone can see my slide. Hope everyone can see my slide.
Yes, sir. We can see your slide.
Okay, no problem. No problem about that. That's good. So now, DNS basically what it does, it resolves the domain name to IP addresses. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if someone is trying to access, let's say google.com is a human readable name. So what this DNS does is that this is just a workflow. It basically sends this your domain name, that is the human readable name, over to the resolver and to the DNS. So what DNS does is that it resolves it down and then look for the IP address, and that is the machine address, and then gets it to the user or the device seeking for google.com. Okay, so now they use IP addresses. So when you search for any domain name or for any site, it is automatically converted or changed to an IP address. So now we'll be looking at this structure of DNS, how the DNS is being structured from the root down to the host, that is the www and the FTP. So now this is the root, and from this root, this is what is called the root domain, and they are basically or likely plus or minus 12 companies pointing us to DNS servers that knows how to get our .com address, our .edu, and our .ng. So it's this that now leads to our top 11 domains. That is this .com, .ng, and .edu, why we know that .com is being used as the most popular top level domain. So now from the root, it goes down to our .com, then to our .ng, and to our .edu. Then we have what they call second level domain. That is after the DNS server has gotten our IP and resolves it to our top level domain. Then it now moves to our second level domain. That is where we now go on to maybe cisco.com, google.com, CYSEC.ng, lab.ng, twitter.edu, or stuff like that. So that is where our second level domain comes in, and then host, which is www, and then FTP over here. Hope it hope you understand it so far. Don't worry, there will be time for question and answer that would not miss. So now, traffic is actually routed throughout the internet using IP address, not domain name. So we should note that in everything we want to do. So now, what is this IP address? IP address is just a unique address that identifies the device on the internet for a local network. So now we all know the popular 192.168.0.0 or 192.168.0.1. It depends on which is being assigned to the device. So there are two ways, or there are the two common versions. There are actually two, just IPv4 and IPv6. IPv4 is mostly denoted with decimals, that is 10.0.0.0, and then IPv6 is in hex, the decimal format, which is of 128 bits, while IPv4 is of 32 bits. Um, sorry, I so now um sorry for the interruption. So sorry for the interruption. Hope I still have my audience.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Go on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now well, I've talked about IP address, and I believe we all understand the difference between IPv4, IPv6, and the widely used IPv4, because basically it actually easier to actually memorize this than memorizing this hexadecimal format. It's a whole lot of strings over there. So now we should know that domain names may resolve with different IP addresses depending on where you are in the world. So if someone, let me open up my Windows terminal over here. Okay. So now, if someone is should go on to let's look at ns lookup um, google.com. So now, what this does is it brings out the IP address of google.com over here. Why this is the IPv6 address? Why this is the IPv4 address? Okay. So now, because we're in Nigeria, we're able to see this as 172.217.168.174. But someone in the UK or in the US might see something different from this. So that is why I say that the domain name may result in different IP addresses depending on where we are in the world. So now the allocation of IP address is now dependent on the geographical location of the user itself. So DNS is a fundamental building block. Without DNS, internet will don't work very well, obviously. Because it will be very difficult for you to say, okay, I want to memorize a lot of IP addresses on my head. But it's easier for us to just memorize a lot of domain name on our head and quickly just memorize them and just put them back into the system and include them. So as we go on, we should note that you need to be very, very careful that you use trusted DNS servers. Don't just trust any DNS server out there, because attackers are always out there trying to poison DNS and then trying to get the traffic to be diverted to their own machine or to their own system. So we must be very, very, very careful that we know what we do and we don't just go into any, don't just type any, don't just access any DNS server out there. Okay. So now, let me open my VM and let's try and analyze the Wireshark packet to understand in depth about this DNS. Okay. So now because I don't want to waste much of our time here tonight, I did this Wireshark capture. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I did the Wireshark capture, and then I was able to filter the DNS out of it so that you understand what we're talking about. And then I was able to do NS lookup on google.com on this my Windows 7 machine. By the way, we'll be doing, and all the attack we'll be doing today will be done on this our Windows machine. We don't really need our card machine to perform such an attack. We'll be using this Windows 7 machine to do that. Doing DNS, filter DNS out of the whole packet I was able to capture. And then now let's try to analyze this DNS. Okay, scrolling up. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay. From here, you can see that our query is google.com. So we're trying to query this to request google.com, and a type A means IPv4. IPv4. A record is a domain name IPv4. Why if you see triple A, then we're talking about IPv6. That would see also if we come down from this our analysis, we come down, we go to see this from over here. Okay, sorry. Um, we don't. Okay, we can actually see it from here. This 4 quadruple A to show that this is the IPv6, while this is for IPv4. If we should open this now, we'll notice and we'll see the IP address as IPv6, that is in the hexadecimal format, not IPv4 format. Okay, so now from over here we can see the user datagram protocol, that is our level 3. You can see the user datagram protocol, the source port, and then we can see the destination port. But now we should know that port numbers are assigned in various ways. They are based on 3 ranges. We have the system port, we have the user port, and we have the dynamic or private port. The dynamic or private port, we also know that as random port. That is this source port here, 61861 over here, is just a random port. We use to communicate to the destination port. That is DNS. DNS is take note of that. So now we're just using a random port to query to get a request from our DNS server requesting for google.com on our machine. And now this is just a typical Wireshark capture in which we as or the attackers themselves can actually go over there, intercept the network using Wireshark, and then able to filter the network and look at some details in which they can use to perpetrate their attack. And then the IPv4, IPv6, we know about that, and then we know that we should not trust any server out there. So now let's just talk about the DNS poisoning. so that now this is just how the whole thing goes. Normally, what happens is a client is meant to send a request to a real website, that is the DNS server. And then after getting this DNS server, we are meant to now go over to the real website. But as an attacker, they tend to stand in between this client and the real website, and then try to formulate or poison the app, to poison this app. That is the address resolution protocol. They try to poison the DNS app, and then send will send the client or the user to a fake website. That means the client, instead of the client should be getting his real website, is being requested to the real website. And then that is also known as the man attack. And well, you can't really say that we can be that secured. So we should just try our best to just are secured. So there are different ways to perform this. So you can use actually top the most commonly used are these three. That is the request, the response forgery using the Bedia attack. That is you're trying to forge an answer that injects a false entry for a given domain record, and also hijacking the local network with spoofing or app poisoning. That means they're trying to spoof the address resolution protocol, and then the attacker tries to flood the register with a huge number of forged responses, hoping that one of those forged responses would get a match ID of the original query itself. So now let us go quickly into the DNS poisoning. That I'll be poisoning my base system, that is my resistance system, using a tool that has been around for a while now, but it's difficult to actually find it nowadays. That is Skin and Abel. We use such to poison the of DNS server. Yeah. So now this, I wouldn't advise you install such tool on your base system, because what the Windows system does is that it picks it up as a virus. So if you want to run such thing, I would advise that you run it on a VM.
mean,
You run it on a VM. So
okay.
I would like to go back to this our Wireshark um, capture, capture rather, and um, explain one other thing that I forgot to explain. Okay, now this is the source and this is our destination. This is this is the IP address of the router. That is the router I'm actually connected to. And so now what this router does is it queries another device for the IP address information, because that is that it tried to query the other DNS server to get requests from either google.com or any site you're trying to access. So if the local DNS server doesn't know the answer, that is my router, it forwards the query to a more authoritative DNS server to get our request down for us. So the whole essence or the whole essence of this DNS is just it essentially resolves a human readable name to a machine readable address. So now um this is the Cain and Abel tool. So we'll be going over to the sniffer. So trying to sniff. Okay, sorry. So now this is our app. This is where we add the IP address we are trying to sniff. So what I will be doing first of all would be scanning. Okay, we have okay, no problem. Sniffer. Then let's go to the app. Yeah. Then we add the IP address we're trying to spoof or trying to poison. So now, this is because my router was connected to my system, so there are not a lot of IP addresses available over here or MAC addresses available over here. So from what I know, this is the default gateway that we can check by using IP config. So now we can see from over here that my default gateway is 192.168.43.1, while my IP address is 192.168.43.56. So now, since I since I know that that is my default gateway, I will click on it, and this is the IP address of my base Windows system that are trying to attack. That is, let's start with IP config. Yeah, over here we can see that this is I'm connected to a wireless adapter. So the IP address is 192.168.43.4. Okay, so now we just click OK on it. It's actually a very, very easy attack to perform. So it's not big, it's not too much of a deal to actually perform such attack. It's actually very easy. But I wouldn't advise us to just perform such attack without what I'm just trying to do now, trying to enlighten us, not for us to pick up this attack and start performing it. Just to enlighten us on how we need to secure our network from such form of attack. So now I would be since, since we are talking about the app, that is the address resolution protocol. What it does is that this address resolution protocol is used on internet, Ethernet, that is Etherent, and wireless network to determine the MAC address of another device. That's what it basically does. So now we now we can actually show the using this command app dash a to show us the devices, the MAC addresses of devices that have been registered on the system. That is this one and this. This is the IP address of our base system that we can see from over here. And then, so that from over here, now let's try to access our default gateway. Our default gateway, we note that is 192.168.43.1. So if you try to do app, sorry, app, okay, dash A, then our default gateway, that is 192.168.43.1. Okay, now we see our IP address over here. That is the base system IP address from over here. That's the interface we're connected to. And this is our default gateway, and this is our physical address. This is our MAC address. For those that know it, you know that this is our MAC address. So now, when we poison the DNS, what happens is that this MAC address is being changed to my base. That is my hacking machine. So the MAC address from over here, or the MAC address from over here, is being changed due to the poisoning that we're about to do from over here. Now let's check from this and let's see. Let's check IP config dot slash or. Okay, that should bring it up no time. Now we see from where this is our physical address. Let me maximize it. Okay. Right. Yeah. So now this is the MAC address of this system. So what what we're trying to do now is that after we click on poison, then now we can start to see idle. So nothing really changed until we click on the poison. So what to start doing, to start routing. So everything that's going to be done from our base system will be routed over to this my attack machine. Now let's check and let's see, let's wait and see. Okay, now we can actually see from over here that this is, since we know that this is our default gateway. Now we see that our um the address, the MAC address has been changed due to the poisoning that has been caused by this tool that we're actually using over here. If I should stop this poisoning now, we'll know or we'll see that the address will be back normal. So let's wait a bit for it to come up. Now you can see that we have gotten back our address. So now this poisoning, as what it has done is that is trying to route everything that is going on this my base system to this over here. So trying to send a lot of requests from whatever I'm trying to access on my system to this. So we're trying to, well, we'll be able to control it from over here. And what this tool is actually very good because it tends to create its own certificate. Like we all know about SSL certificate that is used in most browsers. So it generates its own certificate, its own. So everything that is being done is being routed by its own, by the old, by the inbuilt certificates from over here. That is the Kane and Abel 2. So let's go back to this app and then let's on our poisoning. Let's see what happens a website from my base system if it will go through due to this um stats being created with this Kane and Abel 2. So now I'll launch my um, browser and we'll try to maybe search for. Okay, before we do that, let's go back to this tool and then let's let's look at this. That is the app DNS. Okay. Now over here, this is where you would impute the website you're trying to the victim from accessing. So it does what it does is just add the you add to you probably want to just add maybe facebook.com or any link you want to add, you will just add it over here and then the IP address is going to be your attack machine IP address. That is because we're going to be spoofing the IP address on your system. So now if like now I added we'll try and see if we can access facebook.com from my base system. Okay. Okay. Now it's brought back something. Okay, let's give it. Network is the issue over here. So to just show us that this poisoning is not a very hard one to do. So we okay. We try to access facebook.com from over here. It's giving us a privacy error because this browser has prevented such attack from happening. Now I'm trying. It's meant to bring up a prompt to show us that the okay is not responding. come up. Why that is coming up? Now we have talked about the ways on how to exploit this. So now let's talk about the security. The basic security out there is the use of for domain name system protection and the technology domain name system. That authentication for the origin of the DNS data, helping to safeguard against attacks and protect your company or organization data and integrity. Because integrity is basically it comes down to the CIA, that's confidentiality, integrity, and affordability. So you able to protect the organization network will mean a lot that okay, my data with you is being secured and the integrity of the customer is integrity of the data is secured and then my data is not being accessible by any attacker or by any person that has bad intention rather. Now, like I've said this earlier on and I'll keep on emphasizing it, that you need to be careful that you use trusted DNS server. Don't just go out there and just trust any DNS server out there because of you want to access something. Because now, when you access some website, you see some websites, maybe you want to access maybe youtube.com, but then you see maybe you, then cu.du. So we need to just be careful on what links or what DNS we actually access so that we are. I'll be talking about how to detect this DNS cache poisoning quickly. Let's check what this website is showing. Okay, now they say your connection isn't private. And let's read what the app was there. www.facebook.com uses encryption to protect the information. Um, and then the website sent back unusual and incorrect credentials is because, like I read earlier, this is generating its own certificate. So it's generating its own, and now you see what I've generated about 41 certificates. Obviously, if the victim should access maybe a website that is not secured, that's HTTP, then and it infuse the data, we can quickly get maybe the password or maybe the email of what is trying to access. So now I was talking about how to detect DNS cache poisoning. So now we would need to monitor your DNS server for indicators of possible attack. Okay, that means you need to set up an IT team that will be monitoring your DNS server. But in case you don't have an IT team, then go back to this point that I've been emphasizing this morning that you need to trust the DNS server you're trying to access. And then if
Hear
it
you.
happens that you have an you can't hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
Okay. Where did you
I can hear you.
stop?
Cracking.
It's cracking. Possibly network. Let's see. Um,
Your audio is breaking.
it's breaking.
Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's not.
Sorry,
All right, it's
is
I
it
think
better
I think
now?
it's a thing for some people's network who probably have issues. I have someone here, Mr. Bostwain, who says it's pretty much okay from his end, and from my end it's pretty much okay. So we could just continue. We'll send this
Okay.
particular recording to every attendee, and we can actually revisit and rewatch everything. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now it's better now.
Thank
Okay, no
you.
problem, no problem. Thanks for that. Yeah. So now we're talking about how to detect this DNS cache poison because obviously you need to go to detect it before you can even try to even stop such attack or mitigate such attack. So a sudden increase in your DNS activities from a single particular IP is trying to access this particular domain over and over and over and over and over again, and it doesn't stop such occurrence in your network. And then an increase in the DNS activity from a single source that is querying your DNS server for multiple domain names. We should also detect that. And now, the DNS cache poisoning mitigation. How do we mitigate? How do we stop this? How do we stop this? Now, mitigation methods. First and foremost, learn how DNS works. That's what I've just I emphasized or I spoke about in the earlier part of this talk. Talked about how it um, converts or how it resolves domain name to IP. So that actually you can actually decide to go deeper into learning how this DNS works. Learn more than just the surface level. Because what I was doing is just teaching a kind of surface level or surface understanding so that you understand what you're trying to do today. But now for your organization or for your enterprise, you need to teach your IT team. The most crucial and important part of any network, you need to obviously teach them. So now disable host file resolution on your clients and servers. Set your TTL. That is time to leave to a low value. Practically, our advice that you go for 15 minutes. That means TTL, that the access to continuous access to your DNS server, you need to reduce it. Not stopping them, but when you notice that there was this spike, give it like 15 minutes, then block it. Give it block it, then you know that that to stop. And then don't answer the request over your one. That is where area network from port 3, any other port for that matter. So I believe, I hope I've been able to show us this DNS and then the DNS poisoning and then how it's being done and how we can mitigate from such attacks. And then if there's any question, please you can feel free to throw it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pochu. Very informative.
Hello.
So the host, you can take over.
Okay, thank you so much for
Is there any question?
this session.
You're welcome. So let me check. Is there any question that I need to answer?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay. So what is the question about?
How many ports are there? You mentioned random ports. What are the other ports?
Yeah. Yeah. Now there are 6,000. There are 655 ports that we have in general. But now they are being broken down into 3 ranges. System ports, we have user ports, and we have the dynamic or private ports. So what I actually showed you from this, our where's our Wireshark capture that we actually did. Come in, let me show you something so that question. Okay.
Okay.
We had that we had system port, and then the dynamic port that use those query query website or anything. Okay. So now you're being answered by the port number. That is for DNS, you have port 53. If it's something like HTTP, you have port 80. for HTTPS, we have port 443. Okay. Then we have other ones like 21, 22, 23. That is for SSH. We have Telnet. We have FTP. Okay. Hope
Okay.
hope you understand it now. Hope it's
Yeah, I
better.
understand. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question. Good evening.
Okay.
Um,
Good evening.
yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah. You keep telling us not to trust any DNS service. So how do we know which DNS to trust and which not to trust? Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So I would like to take all the questions at once. I will answer them. So if you have any other question, please just throw it out so that I will just answer everything at once.
Good evening.
Any other question? Yeah.
So mine is not a question, it's sort of a request.
Okay.
Okay, please, I don't know if the recording can be sent to us because during the class your voice was kind of cracking. So I don't know if the video will be sent. The recording, sorry.
Yeah. The host said the recording
Yes.
will be made available.
Yes, sir. By tomorrow, it will be
Okay.
available and the links will be sent to everyone on the YouTube channel. It will be uploaded on the YouTube channel, CYSEC NG YouTube channel, and links will be sent to all of the mails.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, please, can you
So you all
explain the
should
IPR?
check the YouTube channel.
Sorry, sir.
Explain what?
The APR DNS.
That is the address resolution protocol.
Yes.
That is the AR. That is ARP. ARP. It stands for the address resolution protocol. So I explained that earlier, but I guess you were not in the section. You were not in the session by then. So what it does is that it is mostly used on internet and wireless network to determine the MAC address of another system. Okay. So like I showed from over here, this is the MAC address of this system or of our victim, sorry, of our attacker, sorry, yes, of our system. Yeah, this is the attacker, our attacker's MAC address. This is mine MAC address. So what it does is that it is used on internet or wireless network to determine the MAC of the question. So it's just an address resolution protocol to get MAC address of the system. Okay. Hope that answers the question, sir. Okay, I think it's gone.
Pochi, can I ask a question?
Sorry?
Can I ask a question?
Okay, yeah, you can.
Yeah, I was just wondering. You show very good presentation. For the DNS security,
Thank you.
let's say for cloud, is there any other ways to evaluate DNS security for the cloud server?
Okay, so your question, sir, is on the evaluation of the. Sorry, come again with your question. I don't think I got it fully. Sorry.
Okay. So how do you evaluate the DNS security for the cloud server? Say
Okay.
you're using AWS or Google.
Okay. No problem. Okay. I should answer that our of our DNS provider or DNS server. Yeah. So I think we should take in some key consideration and we should know, okay, now leverage your internet service provider DNS. If that is the first step I feel we should take. That means the first, you should use the DNS your internet service provider provides. For many of us, that is the beginning of an end of any DNS decision, right? But then we can use the public DNS provider that supports the DNSSEC. That's what I actually showed on mobile here. I actually showed a basic step on how to measure security step. You can use the DNSSEC, that is domain name system security extension, and because it guarantees that you'll be safe from potential attack. So what this does is it actually gives a kind of guarantee that you will be saved from a potential attack. Okay, and then we can, like I earlier said, I started from saying we should leverage your internet service provider's DNS. That is what any DNS your internet service provider provides. I think we should try to trust what they provide for us, and then we can make use of this major security step that I said from over here. And then we can also review your cloud provider DNS offering. That is a very neat and decent step you can also take, because in an enterprise network, you can use it to examine what cloud provider offer beyond the basics. So we need to review our cloud providers DNS offering. I think that is what most of us should actually take note. Review what you assess. Don't just assess anything without reviewing it. So review it based beyond the basics of them just providing services or offering services to you. Review and okay, what are they offering? What are the terms and conditions? What are they giving access to? What requests are they being given access to get for my system or for my device or for my network? Okay, so and then we should also try in any organization or any enterprise to hire IT security personnel that would help us detect from possible DNS cache poisoning. So I hope that answers your question.
Oh, yes, it does. Thank you so much, Fortune. I will look into it. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Hope you understand. Okay, no problem. No problem. I'm very happy that I could answer that for you. So any other question?
You haven't answered my question.
Any other question? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hello, good
I'm so
evening.
sorry.
Can you hear
Please.
me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Good evening.
Okay, sorry that I'm
I can hear
joining.
you. Go ahead with your question.
My name.
No problem at all.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel. I want to for this lecture today. I believe this is a part
Sorry,
of
it's like your line is
network.
breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
DNS poisoning, I believe. DNS poisoning, I believe,
Yeah, go
is
ahead.
part
I
of
can.
network security. Yeah, it's part of network security. Mine is just like a little
Yeah.
addition to what you have said so far. Well, in an enterprise environment,
Okay.
beside what you have said so far, I think there are some ways you can also protect your most of all these attacks. For example, you can do at the switch level, whereby a particular DNS server will be registered on the switch. So if any other devices try to come into the network as a DNS server, you understand, whereby basically this implementation is done at the switch level. I think that's my only two contributions to this as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that contribution. And it's very interesting to know. Yeah. Thank you very much. And then the question, I think your other person's question was on how do we know a secured DNS server, right? Or I'm not mixing the question. Please, can you just give me the question? Sorry.
Yeah, All right, Shepard.
Hope you can hear me.
How do you know which DNS? Yes, I can hear you. I think you're correct.
Okay, because your line seems to be breaking. Your line seems to be
Okay,
breaking.
hello?
Oh, I can hear you. Go on now.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, she's not.
Hello?
You can hear her. Am I the only one? Yeah, go ahead to question. Go ahead to question, ma.
Correct. I think you understand. Yeah, how to know which DNS servers to trust. Hello?
Okay, now, yeah, I'll try to answer the question. Sorry, hope you can hear me. Hope your network is not going to affect me answering this question. Or probably, if you answer the question, you can go over to the YouTube channel and then watch the video over so that you would listen to it being answered. So now, for the sake of everyone else that is attending, yeah, you need to. Now we're trying to access the DNS, and it's mostly provided by our internet service provider. So what they do is they're able to trust the request that they bring down. So I think if we're able to trust the internet service provider are trying to access, not just anyhow DNS service provider are trying to get access from, we should note that they should be able to provide a secure passage for you so that your traffic request is not being intercepted or is not being you to be more secured when accessing the DNS server of your choice. So a question.
I
Any
think
other
we
question?
would like to end it here. If further questions, you could send it to our mail. We'll dropping it in the chat box. And we can,
okay.
The mail is info@CYSEC.com. I will drop the mail and we can, I'll drop this on chat box and we can all send our questions there and they will be attended to ASAP. And we can all go there. It's info at CYSEC.ng.
So hope you all got that, and then yeah, don't forget to check the YouTube channel so that you're able to watch, and don't forget to subscribe also to the YouTube channel. I think that is very, very important. Don't forget to subscribe, and then you can visit their website.
Thank you.
They actually offer.
Okay, so we want to thank our host for this particular session, and I'll just do a real breakdown for those of us who are just coming in late. The whole idea of DNS, and DNS means domain name server, and actually what it does, it's like most of us might be using the word resolve and resolve. It just basically, when most of us hears this word, google.com or whatever name of the website, it's on a human readable form. So, but basically that's not what the server or the internet understands. The internet does not understand Google or what www.google.com means. What they understand is the IP address. So what happens is the DNS that helps attach or link up a particular name, example google.com, to its IP address so that this machine could understand what you're trying to surf on the internet. So what we're talking here is the fact that this transaction is done at the server level and is being done by your internet gateway in most criteria. So what can happen is a malicious attacker can, at this particular point, exploit that by fixing himself or carrying out what we call a man-in-the-middle attack. And that is what our co-host just demonstrated when he changed a default gateway of his main system to a different default gateway. And that attack that is carried out is all called man-in-the-middle attack, which makes any kind of information or transaction that is being carried out to be snaked. That means the malicious attacker can see what you're surfing, and that is being done to what we call ARP spoofing, ARP spoofing, address resolution protocol. So when that happens, what happens is the malicious attacker can from his own end change the malicious attacker from his own end change the direction of a particular website to his own website. And that is why we're talking about if your network or your website traffic is hijacked. So basically he hijacks your website traffic and tries to make you link up to a different website. So that is what we call DNS poisoning. This whole aspect is called DNS poisoning. And we want to really thank our co-host because he didn't just do a detailed explanation, and he also gave us practical fixes and best practices on what to do to help solve and conquer such attack from affecting us. And further to this, we most of us who had our questions, who asked questions, they've been answered. For those of us who didn't have the opportunity to ask our questions, we implore you can send us a mail with your questions. We can get those mails responded to immediately. And also, whichever one you direct to our co-host will be addressed to him as well. We want to thank everyone who took from his time to attend this webinar. We would like you to expect more of this the next month. We'll be coming up with a different topic next month. So thank you all for those of us who come here, who has attended. We will be ending it here. I'm calling today here. Thank you, everyone.